South 24 Parganas is a sprawling district in West Bengal where the vast majority of the population lives in remote, deeply rural villages. Out here, the quiet stretches on for miles, completely isolated from the noise of the city. Right in the center of one of these quiet villages sits a massive vintage compound known to the locals as the Fakir Bari. For decades, neighbors have come to the mosque inside this very house, seeking supernatural solutions to everything from financial ruin to demonic possession. But the family's actual methods were strictly hidden. Between 9 p.m. and midnight, they locked all their doors and windows to perform a highly volatile ritual called the zikr. This was a hushed, terrifyingly low-pitched Arabic chant designed specifically to summon jinns. This chart shows the three-step framework used to engage these entities safely. First, the ritual is used to summon the entity. Second, the practitioner exerts spiritual authority to command it. And third, once the task is done, they execute a precise closing ritual to release it. Every single time the elders initiated this sequence, they were walking a tightrope. The jinns solved the villagers' problems, but one slipped syllable or one broken rule in that contract meant immediate, violent death for the summoner. The youngest member of this family was a 10-year-old boy named Syed. Like any kid, he spent his afternoons at the local playground. One day, Zayed started boasting to the older boys about how rich and powerful he was going to be. A 24-year-old local named Pratyush laughed in his face, and soon the entire group of kids was mocking Zayed, calling him crazy. That public humiliation severely bruised the 10-year-old's ego. He stopped going to the playground entirely, locking himself inside his bedroom in total isolation. Zayed had spent his entire childhood watching his father and grandfather perform the nighttime rituals. He had memorized the exact syllables of the zikr. Now he decided to use his family's sacred chant to acquire the wealth and power he needed to prove his bullies wrong. A child had just acquired the tools of an ancient, volatile practice. He knew exactly what words to say, but he possessed none of the spiritual discipline required to survive them. Zayed began reciting the zikr in pitch darkness every single night. For 38 days, nothing happened. On the 39th night, desperate for a result, he slit a chicken's throat as a blood sacrifice, closed his eyes, and started chanting. The air in the bedroom grew heavy. A deep growl vibrated near his ear. When Zayed finally opened his eyes, a 7-foot-tall entity shrouded entirely in a black burqa was looming over him in the shadows. Instead of retreating, Zayed put the entity to work. He asked it to conjure up pocket money and bring him food. Then he dispatched the 7-foot monster into the dead of night to stand at the foot of Pratyush's bed, terrifying his childhood rival into a severe, week-long fever. By weaponizing the jinn for petty theft and childhood intimidation, Zayed broke the first unwritten rule of the Fakir Bari. He had taken a ritual meant for community healing and corrupted it with pure, selfish intent. Zayed's hubris quickly escalated.
He wanted the same deep respect his ancestors had, so he devised a plan to manufacture a crisis. He commanded the jinn to physically attack his own grandfather. The goal was to let the old man suffer and then swoop in to cure him, looking like a hero to the entire village. The grandfather's health instantly deteriorated. He sat upright in a chair for hours, staring blankly at the ceiling, before screaming uncontrollably through the night. But when Zayed issued the command for the jinn to heal him, the entity simply ignored the boy. Zayed had successfully summoned the entity, but without the spiritual rank of his father, the command stage fails to engage. He had opened the door, but he couldn't direct what came through it. Because Zayed couldn't enforce his commands, the jinn was left entirely unchecked. Within a month, his grandfather began vomiting blood and died a brutal, agonizing death. The untethered jinn shifted its violent focus directly onto Zayed's father. Zayed now realized he only knew half of the science. He had memorized how to open the door, but he never learned the precise closing ritual required to banish a summoned entity. Desperate to save his father, Zayed attempted a final, catastrophic solution. He sat back down in the dark and chanted for a month straight to summon the most powerful entity within the hierarchy, hoping it would destroy the first one. Instead, the two entities united. Zayed tried to fix a broken contract by writing a deadlier one. The combined entities annihilated his father within weeks, completely wiping out the leadership of the Fakir Bari bloodline. With the elders gone, the entities turned their full attention to the boy who brought them there. Deep, fingernail-like scratches began manifesting across Zayed's neck under completely invisible pressure, as if unseen hands were trying to strangle him. His family rushed him to a hospital, where his mental state completely shattered. He began terrifying the nurses, executing impossible, physics-defying leaps from one hospital bed to another with horrifying agility. Out of options, the surviving family took him to a local mosque for an exorcism. The cleric took one look at the boy and delivered a devastating diagnosis. Zayed's original soul had already been evicted. His physical body was now just a crowded container for demonic entities. Removing them would cause the boy unimaginable agony, so he was committed to a mental ward. 10 days later, Zayed died. When his family retrieved him, they found his physical form had rotted away while he was still breathing, his flesh deteriorating so rapidly that worms spilled from his remains. To understand exactly what happened in that house, the cleric performed one final act. He hypnotized the body, forcing the entities trapped inside to confess the entire sequence of events, detailing every broken rule, every arrogant command, and every fatal mistake Zayed made in the dark. Zayed wanted the prestige of his ancestors without putting in the decades of rigorous spiritual discipline. By demanding ultimate power before he was ready to wield it, he didn't conquer the darkness. He merely volunteered to become its newest vessel.